Hello and welcome to this presentation, which is entitled A Language Match, exploring the relationship between translanguaging and English as a foreign language learning in a language meetup. I'm Silvia and I am a PhD student at the University of Castilla-La Mancha. This is the outline of this presentation. As you can see, first I'm going to do a brief introduction of this research, and then I'm going to move on to the objectives and the research context where this study took place. After that, I'm going to present the methodology that I employed to gather the data, as well as the results and the main conclusions from this research. And I'm going to finish by showing the references that I used for this presentation. So nowadays, language learning is no longer limited to traditional classrooms. We now have access to language learning apps, online platforms, and even artificial intelligence tools that offer personalized feedback and real time interaction. These technologies are increasingly being acknowledged as effective tools for second language learning. However, despite these advances in technology, immersion, living in a place where the target language is spoken, is still regarded as one of the most effective ways to develop both linguistic proficiency and intercultural understanding. However, not all students have the chance to move abroad, and that's where language meetups offer an interesting alternative. While they don't require students to be abroad, they still create opportunities to engage with the target language in meaningful settings. And these are peer based and informal settings where participants come together with a shared objective to practice and improve their language skills. There are no teachers, no exams, just conversation. So it could be said that this kind of space mirrors natural language use, allowing learners to interact authentically and apply their knowledge spontaneously, just as it would be in everyday life. Therefore, this presentation focuses on two language meetups, Intercambio de Idiomas in Ciudad Real and Tandem in Puerto Llano. The main goal is to explore how participants perceive these meetups as contributing to the development of their English language skills. And the research also aims to uncover other benefits that are often overlooked in formal education, such as increased confidence or cultural awareness. Another key objective was to examine how translanguaging is used during these meetups and how this practice helps to support language learning. Translanguaging refers to the flexible use of different languages in communication. And in this case, I'm going to focus on how participants move between Spanish, their first language, and English, the language that they are learning. As for the context, this research was conducted in Castilla-La Mancha with a central focus on Ciudad Real. Therefore, the main meetup that was observed was Intercambio de Idiomas, held on Thursdays in Ciudad Real. And then a second tandem in Puerto Llano was included for comparative purposes. It is important to note that these events are open to anyone interested in learning languages. However, English is the most commonly learned language in these events due to the high number of Spanish speakers wanting to improve their proficiency level in this language. The language meetups follow a structured yet flexible format designed to encourage participation and real communication. Each session begins with a short icebreaker or social warm up, about 15 minutes, to help participants relax. And these might include games or short activities to get everyone speaking. The core or the main session is about 50 minutes to an hour and includes a variety of speaking activities, like, for example, rotating conversations, small group discussions on theme topics, and even role plays. And to support learning, there are also guided materials like worksheets, board games, and speed talking with different people. And aside from normal meetups, there are themed sessions on specific days, like, for example, Europe Day, Women's Day, or even Holy Week. Moving on to the methodology, the research follows a mixed methods approach, combining both qualitative and quantitative data. On the one hand, I conducted semi structured interviews with four participants to explore their individual perspectives. And in addition to this, a questionnaire was administered to 23 participants to explore or to gain further insights into their perceptions and experiences. And all data was finally examined through thematic analysis. The findings suggest that language meetups are widely perceived as a valuable complement to formal language education. First, most participants reported clear improvements in their speaking skills, especially when it comes to fluency and pronunciation. Other participants also highlighted intercultural and interpersonal growth, since the meetups fostered cultural awareness and improved social skills when interacting with people from different backgrounds in terms of language and culture. Another key point was how these meetups helped to address gaps left by formal education. Participants, in this sense, felt that they were finally able to put their passive knowledge, like grammar and vocabulary, into practice through conversational use in an authentic and supportive setting. And lastly, these meetups promoted agency and motivation, creating a dynamic learning environment for language learning. From these findings, we can assume that language meetups provide more than just language practice. They create a low stress environment that encourages participants to speak with more confidence. In this sense, a participant even noted that it was like a friend reunion. Moreover, they help participants improve their fluency and speaking skills through real life communication and practice. And beyond language, these meetups foster cultural awareness, open mindedness, and they provide learners with a chance to meet new people from different backgrounds. Translanguaging also stood out as a helpful tool in these meetups. Firstly, when it comes to clarifying meaning and understanding, a lot of participants would mix their native language, in this case Spanish, with English to clarify words and explain more difficult ideas. Secondly, for some participants, switching to their first language would help them feel more in control when they were struggling with English. And this, in turn, reduced their anxiety and increased their confidence. Moreover, through translanguaging, participants could connect with others better and create social bonds with people from different backgrounds. And also, translanguaging wasn't just about communication, but it also helped participants organize their thoughts, retrieve vocabulary, and compare how structures work in different languages, which can be helpful for beginners in English. To develop these ideas a bit more, many participants stated that they use their native language, in this case Spanish, to help them better understand or clarify English expressions, vocabulary, or pronunciation. From the responses, it seems that the first language plays an important role in the internal thought process, helping learners structure their ideas before and after speaking. This shows how translanguaging supports communication, especially in settings with people with different proficiency levels in English. It also helps express ideas with more accuracy when participants, for example, were trying to convey something that feels too difficult for them to say in English. However, other participants preferred sticking to English to improve their fluency. Despite the previous advantages, when it comes to what participants felt that they could improve about the meetups, a few themes came up as well. A significant number of them wanted more native speakers in attendance, since this would provide better exposure to language use and help them improve communication skills. Others also felt that there was a need for more clarity and planning in the activities. However, other participants preferred a more open format and more flexibility in the structure. So there are mixed opinions here, since some participants wanted more freedom to speak, while others preferred more guidance and structure. Another theme was smaller conversation groups to reduce speaking anxiety and give everyone more time to speak, as well as more games and activities to make meetups more engaging and fun. So, taking everything into account, these meetups are not just about conversations, they are educational spaces that foster linguistic, social, and intercultural development, offering opportunities for interaction and real world communication. In doing so, they help build confidence, improve fluency, and keep learners motivated. One important aspect in these settings is translanguaging, which allows participants to use their entire linguistic resources, providing cognitive, social, and emotional benefits and making language meetups more inclusive, adaptable, and especially for those who are still working on their English skills. And I would like to finish with an extract of the poem Ithaca, because in the end, these meetups are not just about reaching a final destination or language proficiency, but rather about the discoveries and growth made along the way, where participants can learn both linguistically and personally. And the real value, therefore, of this activity comes from the experiences that happened along the way, the interactions, the challenges, and the progress made by the participants. These are the references that I used for this presentation. And of course, I would like to thank all the people who decided to participate in this research and the facilitators from the language meetups for allowing me to be there during this process. And, and thank you for your attention. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to use the comment section or feel free to send me an email. Again, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my presentation.